Rich Dad says if you learn this lesson now, you will enjoy a life of great freedom and security. But if you don't, then Writer and Mike were working in a small store for free, in exchange of which Rich Dad would teach them about money. So after 3 weeks, Rich Dad goes to meet the two boys. He takes them for a walk, he purchases them 2 ice cream and he told them to observe the people in park. He said if you don't learn this now, you will end up like these people. So the learning here is, yes, there is no substitute to hard work. Let's go to the first video and see the multiple sources of revenue Rich Dad had. And just imagine the amount of hard work he did. But you not only need to work hard, but also understand what financial education means. Coming back to the story, Rich Dad said if you're okay with ending up like them, then I will give you a raise to 25 cents per hour. Rich Dad wanted to expand the point of view so they can see something that most people never have the benefit of seeing because their vision is too narrow. Then Rich Dad raised the offer to $1 per hour. Just pause the video and answer what would you do if you're in the same situation, because $1 for an 8-year-old was a lot back then. But still, Writer and Mike said nothing. Then Rich Dad raised the offer to $2 per hour, but still they said nothing. So here we get our second learn. Just delay the immediate reaction to your temptation and think. For example, Alak Pandey sir, the founder of Physics Wala, was offered 75 crore, but still he rejected it because he knew his value. So know your value and the value of your time. Delay the immediate reaction and think. Coming back, Rich Dad says every person has a weak and a needy part which can be bought and a part which was resilient which can never be bought. It is only a question of which one is stronger. Back, Rich Dad was basically testing them. After some time, Rich Dad raised the offer to $5 per hour, but still they said nothing. This was one of the best decisions of Mike and Writer. We'll find out the reason in some time. Rich Dad says people's lives are forever controlled by two emotions, fear and greed. For example, the fear of not having money forces them to do the job, whereas the greed for a new car or phone arises when they receive the salary. This is what stops them from being rich. He says offer them more money and they will continue the cycle by increasing their spending. This is what Rich Dad calls the rat race. For example, we have heard a lot of stories about rappers and lottery winners who get a lot of money all of a sudden, and soon after some years or months, they go bankrupt. They come to the initial level they are at. So here is our third learning, which is also the second chapter of this book. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how you keep it. So in order to break this cycle, Rich Dad says the first step is telling the truth. Just admit it to yourself. You don't have to tell it to anybody else, but just admit it to yourself. Because the main problem is we just go with the flow. Went to school, then college, then job, then marriage, and then death. We just forget to stop and ask, what do I want to do? Coming back, what Rich Dad wanted them to learn was, most people let their emotions control their brain. Money is running their life, but they refuse to tell the truth about it. This is what Rich Dad really wanted to teach, to avoid this trap. Because in fact, being rich does not solve the problem. So here we get our fourth, that is, please focus on controlling your emotions and financial education, because being rich does not solve the problem. Then he explains the other emotion, desire. When you get money in hand, the desire for a new car or a new phone arises, and even the rich are included in this. And on the other hand, there are people who just keep working even though they have made enough, because now they fear losing it all. This does not mean you should avoid money, because the avoidance of money is just as psychotic as being attached to money. So the conclusion is, which is also our fifth learning, just be an observer, not a reactor to your emotions. Emotions are what makes us human. The word emotion stands for energy in motion. Just be truthful to your emotions and use your emotions in your favor, not against yourself. For example, when you have the emotion desire, watch a movie, then just delay the action and think, is spending 3 hours on a movie worth it, or is it beneficial to watch some good content which is filled with learnings like this? Rich Dad says ask yourself questions like, will a job be the best solution for the problem in the long run? Your answer may be yes, working and getting money, that is the capital for a new business. Or no, I love my job and I want to grow more in this. Rich Dad warns, if you don't first handle the emotions, fear and desire, and you get rich, you will only be a highly paid slave. Coming back to the story, by not giving into the emotion desire, when Rich Dad was offering them more and more money, Writer and Mike were able to delay the reaction and think. The trap Rich Dad mentioned was, fear pushes you out the door, fear to do a job or study, and the desire calls to you. It comes to you when you have money in hand. In order to avoid this trap, you need to learn constantly, which is also our sixth learning, And it is a fact that once a person stops searching for information and knowledge, ignorance sets in. I have made a short video on this.
School is the end, not the beginning. This is a very important learning from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Once a person stops searching for information and self-knowledge, and ignorance sets in. Once you stop learning, you are a mediocre right from that moment to the very end of your life. We start learning from school. We learn to communicate, interact with other people, go to the school to learn skill, profession. And yes, it's true that every society, that is teachers, needs doctors, lawyers, etc. School teaches us to be a contributing member to a society. But unfortunately, school is the end, not the beginning for many people. The point I want you to understand is that school shall be the beginning of our learning journey. So the learning here is also quoted by Sri Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
I will continuously acquire knowledge.
Then stay hungry and keep learning.
A very important lesson I got from this book was, which is a saying of Rich Dad. History has proven great civilizations have collapsed when the gap between haves and have-nots is too great. We will discuss this further. The actual problem here is we just memorize the historical dates and events, not the lesson. Rich Dad says you boys have mastered your emotions. By agreeing to work for free, you have to force yourself to think about an opportunity to make money. Rich Dad wants them to have a choice of thought. This is the first step. The next chapter begins here, seeing what others miss. The problem is most people never see the opportunity because they are always looking for money and security. So that's all they get. Rich Dad says, which is also a seventh learning, that once you see the opportunity, you will see it throughout your life. So please see the opportunities instead of problems. For example, the problem of not having a coaching class for the students in village was an opportunity to help the students and build a platform like PhysicsWala. So after this conversation, the next second Saturday, Writer and Mike saw an amazing opportunity that made them $9.50 per week. At the age of 8, we will find it in the next video. Till then, you can learn, people give up and others fight. A very few learn the lesson and move on. Till then, stay hungry and keep learning.